Okay, it's going on. Welcome in, guys, to Rover Sports, the show. Hope everybody is enjoying their evening now. We are officially live. I can see your chats, and I am so excited to talk about the preseason with you guys for a little bit tonight. I like kind of doing this. My computer screen is so bright that I like kind of doing this in the dark, actually. And hope you guys will want to watch the show, will want to come into the show. I can try to see your comments. Right now, we have a staggering number of people watching this live stream going on right now. It is actually none. But that will change as people are going to roll into our show. I'm going to have one of my guys come in the show, the guy that spent a lot of time with. His name is Bruce the Sports Doc. He's kind of an important person, for the show and off the show. He's going to come in and he's going to talk about his football team, and he's also going to describe what he is excited to watch in the preseason. But we do have a call-in number now. I think some people might want to call in, especially, after a 49ers game, especially after a New York Giants game. I think that some people are going to want to call into the show. So, and we'll also try to get your feedback, and we're also going to try to get a couple of things going for the show. We're going to try to get your feedback, and we're also going to try to take in calls, and maybe the calls will come through. It's a Skype number there that I just got today. So that's how you kind of can take calls. And I know that Volunteer Roadshow, I know that Pigskin Pete, a couple of guys that are doing unbelievable stuff with call-ins. They just had an epic call-in on Volunteer Roadshow the other day with Pigskin Pete and Uncle Lou. So you guys should go subscribe to them. And then the Sports Fury guys as well. They had Jet Central on the show, and they also had just a ton of other great YouTubers that I hope to one day get on my show. So George replies, yes, and who the heck knows if you're going to be able. Let me see if you guys are going to be able to read that handwriting of George. There must be a way that somehow we could see the dang chat and it can actually come through. But thank you guys for watching. I'm going to get to a couple of points that I wanted to talk about here. But the reason why people do radio, the reason why people do podcasts is that they talk for hours, and usually you don't get to the meat of your topic for a while. I mean, that's the key to doing a live show, is just being able to BS for hours on end before you get to your main topic. But a topic tonight is Corey Coleman. Corey Coleman has been traded to the Buffalo Bills, and it makes so much sense. The Bills only have Kelvin Benjamin. The Bills only have Zay Jones. And now you look at Cleveland. Cleveland has Josh Gordon. Cleveland has Jarvis Landry. Corey Coleman is the forgotten man in Cleveland. So now Coleman's going to a spot, and I actually like this trade for the Buffalo Bills. I think Corey Coleman's a weapon. I don't know why the Cleveland Browns are trading him whatsoever to Buffalo, and now the Bills have Zay Jones, who's very fast. The Bills have Benjamin, and now Corey Coleman's going to be able to catch some deep balls. So I appreciate that. And George, congratulations. Jabari, how are you? We're trying. Let's see. That's perfect because that's not too loud. Who wants to be the first one to try to call into the show? Is there any takers? Maybe I'll have one of my producers call into the show to see if it works.
Sure.
Here, so take this. Let me call up the phone. It's 1-484-712-0379, and let me see if it comes through on the speaker. I'm actually calling this for myself because I don't have a lot of friends. Should I answer the call and talk to myself?
Yes.
No, I'm not going to. Yeah, you talk. You talk.
Hello. How's this working? Can you hear it?
Talk to the phone.
Yes. Welcome into Rover Sports. This is Mobile Edition. It seems like we have liftoff. NASA We do not have a problem.
Can you keep talking?
No.
All right.
Now you'll take calls.
Yeah.
Came through pretty well, didn't it?
Did pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Ryan Presley on the line. What's up, Ryan? How are you, man? Ryan Presley's a guy that is a huge Ravens fan. And, Ryan, I wanted to ask you this question. What did you think of Ray Lewis last night? Because I have my opinions about Ray. I thought that Ray Lewis last night was absolutely brilliant. And I loved it. It was like a sermon. He was hilarious. He was funny. He was deep and emotional. Bruce, you watched some of Ray Lewis.
I did.
It's a call. Let's answer the call. You are on live with Rover Sports.
I thought we were going to talk about college football. Is this just pro talk?
We can talk college football, man. You're the first caller into our show. Can we have a name? Would you want to give your name?
Yes, I will. Do you want my social security number, my address?
We want your dog tag.
My dog tag? How about my prison number? How about that?
Perfect.
Oh, my God.
I have everything. I have dog tags, prison, registration, fucking...
Wonderful.
So is this guy calling from prison for a first show?
He's talking college football, so let's tee up a discussion.
Absolutely. The great news is you, sir, can tee up a discussion.
I was in the Air Force. I qualified.
Oh, thank you.
Can you imagine joining the military and not going into the Air Force? I'm like, what's the matter with you? Are you crazy? You better join the Air Force. You might not die.
Right. You could just
That's
fly, right? You could fly around.
Fly over people.
So what I really want to know is, can you imagine any scenario possible with our 19 returning starters that the Gators make it to the playoffs?
Florida Gators.
Yeah, it's the sickness. I was born there. I live in Oregon now. I'm a herbalist, but I just can't let go of it. I know referees make bad calls, are afraid to bet on games, but I think with 19 returning starters, 3 NFL quarterbacks, they could pull this off. They could look like, oh, look how good the Gators are. High flying, fun and gun. We got so many players. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited about Coach Mullen, aren't you, sir? Coach.
If the players don't go to prison, I think we have a chance.
Right.
Yeah, well, Urban's not there
I
anymore.
think Hernandez isn't around anymore.
Dan Mullen has a mess to clean up. But in the meantime, I don't care if I have a game for a football team. That works for me.
Right. I mean, you look at Florida. Who are you most worried about in the East? I mean, you guys got to be worried about Kirby, South Carolina. I mean, at least you guys get them at home.
Listen to me. Listen, honestly, as a Gator, everybody's like toast except Georgia. Georgia's the only game all year. LSU is not a major concern. We don't play anybody else. Tennessee doesn't count. South Carolina doesn't count. Vegas plays it up like they do because they want somebody to bet on the game. Yeah.
I mean, but I really do think South Carolina is going to be good. I mean, that Bentley kid is good. Will Muschamp is not a terrible football coach. I think South Carolina, they're doing a new up-tempo offense. Like, I think USC is actually going to be pretty good. And then Drew Lock, like you guys play Missouri too. They're not a pushover either, this year.
Missouri, when Florida plays Missouri, that's like playing a Pac-12 team or some university. I mean, yeah, they're good, but you should still win. You got the better players. You're Florida. Listen, Florida's not Georgia.
Thanks for calling. Go to the next one.
Sat there for 15 years and did shit.
You gotta learn how to do that.
Destroyed.
You just cut the guy off. You didn't say anything.
Oh no!
You gotta be a
Hello.
little smoother than that.
No, I didn't mean to. Is he still on the line?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Good.
Good. I'm sorry about that because we are taking a lot of calls. So you look at Florida. Who do you follow on YouTube for your news? Do you know Uncle Lou?
No, I'm not familiar. I definitely listen to you with Rover.
Thank you so.
For NFL stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate you. And you know what? I got to do some Florida stuff too. I tried to have this guy, Lance and Jasper, on our show. I'm excited though about Emory Jones. I'm excited about Dan Mullen. I think you guys got one of the best coaches in college football with getting Dan Mullen in there. I really do. I think you guys, you really could win the East this year. I do believe that. And we might have lost the caller. I think I'm going to hang up from this call. Hello there. Is anybody, there was a number calling in from a 678 area code. I don't think they're on the line anymore.
You're welcome to call back. We're here at Rover Sports. You have the call-in
number now.
You can see that 484-712-0379. Plain as day. We'll talk college football, pro football. This is preseason. Otherwise, there's exhibition game 1. The Giants are going to be playing the Browns. And now, what's your take on that?
That was flattering that guy also called in, and it was flattering that he says he gets his NFL news from me. I do think Florida's going to be very good to answer the question. I don't know if this year's going to be the year, though, because I think South Carolina could be dangerous. If he should be the biggest Gamecock fan in the world, because in week 2, if South Carolina can knock off the Dogs, then the whole East is going to be wide open. Emory Jones is not terrible, but yeah, it is very, very exciting. And Ryan says that this is what Ryan said. Ryan's a guy that I met in Baltimore, doing the camp. He's got a big future. He basically said that the Ray Lewis speech was incredible. Him and Jonathan Ogden. And I don't know if I can even read the rest of that comment. I'm even confused by the rest. But it was funny. I thought Ray Lewis, what did you think of him last night? He's taking a lot of heat on social media. People think he's talking too long.
Well, you know what? I think that, you wait your whole life for that one speech. I thought he was great. I thought it was impromptu. Oh, was that?
I was just testing the sound. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry.
So what did you think about Ray? You were talking about Ray.
Wasn't enjoying the echo, so let's not do that again.
Talk about Ray.
No, as I started to tell you, I thought it was from the heart. I thought it was funny. It was impromptu. He went back to his childhood. He honored everybody there, and that's what the Hall of Fame is about. And that's what Terrell Owens ought to have done. He should have showed up. And Brian Dawkins, certainly, there was a ton of Eagles fans there, and people loved it. And I posted on my Facebook page the Dawkins speech.
Haters are my elevators. That's what Brian Dawkins said. But what I was going to say to you is that Ray Lewis had Michael Phelps there, getting the Michael Phelps on. I mean, I haven't seen Michael Phelps in freaking years. The last time I saw Michael Phelps, he was smoking out of a bong when he wasn't supposed to.
That's true, but you know what? He's a Baltimorean, and I thought it was great. I also thought Rex Ryan, if Rex Ryan gets another job in the league, he can thank Mr. Ray Lewis.
Thank Ray, because that was so cool. Ed Reed. The only complaint is that Urlacher, he didn't talk about, Lovie Smith. Dawkins should have given a shout out to Jim Johnson. I wanted more football stuff. It was very, about family and stuff. Like, you listen to Dawkins' speech, it was mostly like about his family and upbringing, which of course is all fine and dandy. But the thing is, B-Dawk was reading from a teleprompter. I don't like guys reading from a teleprompter when they're giving a speech. I want it to be improv from the heart, because Brian Urlacher, he couldn't even get his jokes off because his teleprompter was going so quickly, Bruce.
Well, also, I think a guy like Bobby Beathard, he's a little bit up in age, so I don't think I don't know, if his faculties are 100%. You didn't see that part. He alluded to the fact that his memory wasn't perfect. So Bobby Beathard kind of did a recorded segment with Joe Gibbs. I know a lot of the presenters, like Joe Gibbs and people like that, they had that recorded, I guess, so it would be. It would be.
And Troy Vincent, man, he looks like, what Troy Vincent looks like? He looks like he can go to Dunkin' Donuts for a while.
You know what?
He looks like he's been living in Dunkin' Donuts.
Well, fact is,
I'm sorry to make fun of Troy.
Yeah, that's okay.
Sorry, Troy.
He still works for the NFL, so he can still find your ass.
He can sue me, the No Fun League. But David in Atlanta, I really hope that your Falcons do us a solid right here in Week 1 and beat your Eagles, Bruce, because I've heard it the whole season. So listen,
I think it'll be a great game. Thursday Night Football, Game 1. The thing is, Matt Ryan has only won one game in Philadelphia. He's a Philly boy. Doesn't play particularly well here.
You need Julio Jones to step in and step up.
Although one play away.
Dan Quinn's really a good coach, though.
He's also a nice guy. We've interviewed him before at the Combine.
Yes, we have.
So we're Dan Quinn fans, and we're also Matt Ryan fans, but for one game. That is Eagles-Falcons.
Sure. So George says, I love the Buffalo Bills. He's definitely a Florida fan. He also likes the Steelers. So he's got everything going on. But
he's got chips all around the board.
If
right?
you're from Buffalo, you got to like Josh Allen and you got to like the Buffalo Bills.
So let's talk about Josh Allen. You've done some quarterback work on him.
Yes.
You also met him at the Combine, I think, not at the Senior Bowl, I guess, right?
Yeah, I did. I did meet Josh Allen, big Buffalo Bills quarterback, and really that competition's still open. So for him to win the job, or for him to win the job, he has a good chance. A.J. McCarron, Bruce, he needs to go out. And what do you think McCarron needs to do? And how long do you think A.J. McCarron's going to be playing on Thursday?
You know, it's ironic because we've been big A.J. fans in Cincinnati. We thought he should be playing before the Red Rifle. And he's finally getting his chance. And Josh Allen, though, is like Carson Wentz. He's the guy in waiting. So, you know what I would do? I would play, if McCarron is reasonable, I'd play him the first half of the season. Then I would work Allen in, depending on, obviously if they're winning with McCarron, Buffalo is a great defense. It's other than, obviously, the Patriots. And I think the Patriots are going to take a little step back this year on defense. And their defense was poor last year. Obviously, you still have Brady, but I think that I'd start with McCarron, and if they fade away, I would then work in Allen for maybe the last half of the season.
Oh, we have a caller. I was just going to ask about the Niners, but we have a call. Wonder if it's the same guy from Oregon.
Who knows?
Hello, welcome in the Rover.
Hey, Spencer and Bruce, what's going on?
There he is.
The second caller.
Absolutely.
It's UCF, man. How are you? How are you?
I'm good, man. I saw you guys were doing this little call-in show, so I decided why don't I just dial in the AM of 12:17.
That's right. It took us a while to get this thing going, but we finally launched the balloon, and it welcomed. So how about those Jags? Who are they playing in preseason game 1?
Preseason game 1, we have the Saints, so that'll be a fun matchup. They got a few NFC South teams going on, so it'll be interesting to see how long the starters will actually play for.
So UCF, I desperately hope that we can hear you. I might need to turn the gain up actually in this microphone so we can hear you, because you have a Skype show of your own. Isn't that correct, UCF?
Yeah, I actually did one today. I did my own call-in show, so I had a few different people call in and talk some Jaguars football, and we're all just super excited for the season to start because, of course, it looks like we have a pretty good team together, so hopefully we can finish what we left off from last season.
So you guys are, so when you went to the Jaguar camp, and of course you can call in and direct us to any topic, of course, UCF, but I'm curious, when you went to Jags camp, people noticed you, and what kind of feeling is that, having people that watch your channel, watch your show, you go to a camp and people take pictures of you?
Yeah, man, it was cool, man. I had about, when I was at the Jags practice, there were probably about 7, 8 people that recognized me, which is pretty cool. And one thing that was cool was after the practice, I was getting some pictures with the players, and there was one player that actually said that he's watched my videos before, so that was pretty cool.
So what was the topic of conversation, man? How excited are you for the season to start up here?
Oh man, I'm excited, man. We had one of the best defenses in the league last season, being the Jaguars, and we returned every single starter except for our nickel, cornerback, and our strong side linebacker retired. But we got a lot better on the offensive line. Added an all-pro guard like Andrew Norwell. Have a whole bunch of wide receivers, and we finally have a pass-catching tight end. Blake Bortles looks to be much improved. He's been doing extremely well in camp. Really taking command of the offense, really being a vocal leader. So, I know a lot of people like to hate on Blake Bortles, but I'm telling you guys, you're going to be surprised by, I think, how well he's going to play this year.
So UCF, I was out in Los Angeles with Leonard Fournette, and he looks big. He's been training, and he looks like he's in great shape, and he's going to be a house. He's going to be hard to stop, especially when the weather gets cold. You come up north, I think he's going to be a big weapon for you guys.
Yeah, it's interesting because he actually he dropped a little bit of weight because he thought he was a little too heavy. last season. You know, of course, when you're in college football, you're really able to, just with his body, he was able to truck defensive backs and just keep running through them. But in the NFL, you don't really go one-on-one and just truck a guy and keep running like you do. I mean, people were eventually kind of able to hold him up for at least help to come in and tackle him. But he actually dropped to 225, which he says is his lowest weight since being in high school. So, I mean, I wouldn't want to be the guy tackling him, but I mean, he's dropped his weight a bunch, so hopefully he'll be able to be a lot more elusive, even quicker. I mean, last year he clocked in as the 2 fastest speeds in the league. So, I mean, that guy is just a menace. He's an absolute beast of a player, and I'm excited to see what he has to, offer for our team next season.
I think he's been training with Todd Gurley. Those guys were out together. They were DeAndre Hopkins. All three of those guys trained out in Los Angeles. And but he's just big. He might have lost weight, but he still looks like an offensive lineman. And obviously he's a very strong guy. And quarterback play. Do you think that Blake Bortles will retain his? He finished off well. Is he your long-term player, or do you think you'll be working somebody else in?
I really think he's going to be the long-term guy. Now, if you look at him, the first half of the season was a little bit sketchy as, we had wide receivers in and out of there. He was, playing kind of inconsistent. But you saw as the year went on, he started really coming into his own. He started really taking care of the football. He started, just having some really good games of above, 100 passer ratings. And, one thing that they asked him to do was just be sure not to turn the ball over, let your defense kind of, do work. And in his last, 8 games of the season, if you include the postseason, he only threw interceptions in, 2 of those games, which were the Tennessee and 49ers games. Didn't have a single turnover in the playoffs, and, the whole season, people were saying, oh, you're not going to win because of Blake Bortles. But when it comes out to it, Blake Bortles wasn't the reason they lost that AFC Championship game. It was just a lot of bad coaching when it comes to running a prevent cover 4 defense, running the ball on first down and gaining nothing. You went away from what was doing good in the first half. You closed the playbook a lot, and we were up 10 points with about 7 minutes left, and the defense let up 14 points, and we wound up losing. So, as much as people like to say we're not going to go anywhere on Blake Bortles, he wasn't the reason why we didn't advance to the Super Bowl.
Hey, UCF, thanks so much for calling into our show, man. We're even going to get our volume going pretty, so that everybody can hear. I think that we're trying our best to get the call-ins set up in a nice loudspeaker. But I'm going to talk to you. I have so much more to talk to you about UCF with the the Giants game and all the smack talk that's going to go down for the next month. So thanks for hopping on, my friend.
Have a great night, buddy.
Sounds good. Yeah,
Thanks, man.
Alrighty, so we're still trying to iron out some volume, and actually, look, this bottom thing. So we have a new Yeti microphone. We're trying to we haven't really heard our feedback. This is kind of a test run of all sorts. With the gain might be really high, so it's all about our audio right now. Bruce, let's talk. I want to acknowledge some of our commenters. Doug Lass has been a guy that has commented for such a long time on YouTube. He's a huge Jet fan. And Bruce, I'm on this show all the time, and I talk about the New York Jets a lot. And I talk about the New York Jets, and Doug Lass right here. When I talk about the Jets, I insult Todd Bowles a lot because I'm not a Todd Bowles believer. And he's a nice guy and everything, a guy who'd be fun to go out for dinner, the Steve Lewis dinner comment. Yep. But he's not the type of guy that I think could lead the Jets to a great run. So I said the Jets would have a poor season because I think they're going to get rid of Todd Bowles. And that turned a lot of Jets fans off. They just said you're a typical Giants fan that doesn't want to see.
I don't think you really view
the Jets.
You know what's interesting? I know the Jets really view the Giants as competition, but I think the Giants have got their hands full in the division, in the NFC East. I have nothing against it. Of course not. I remember Todd Bowles, though, was a defensive coordinator for the Eagles, and it didn't go very well. I just think they need a more offensive head coach, literally, and I just think Bowles is just going to take them sideways. So I kind of believe that.
But also, we like the Jets. Like I want to see my friend, Jet Central do well. And with the coach Rex Ryan, when Rex Ryan was the head coach of the Jets and you had Hard Knocks.
They were a lot of fun. That was the most fun Hard Knocks with Rex Ryan, of course.
And they made the AFC Championship twice. Now, Rex Ryan, he took a nosedive with that team, unfortunately. And I kind of want to talk about what is kind of the downside of Rex for the New York Jets, because that was a team with Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez has twice the wins of Tony Romo in the playoffs.
That's true, but it'll be interesting to see, where Rex Ryan goes. And I think somebody's going to take a chance on him as a defensive coordinator, and he's going to be back in the league. But obviously, a lot of times there's a washout period before you get rehired. I think that's where he is right now.
What was the problem with? I think the problem with Rex is his brother not having an offensive coordinator that could really be efficient, because even in Tennessee, like I asked a couple of Titans fans this question, Matt LaFleur is a very good offensive coordinator. He's going to bring some up-tempo Sean McVay-like stuff to the offense in Tennessee.
Right.
But they are more worried about LaFleur leaving than Mike Vrabel as a head coach. And you see the Giants go out and get Pat Shurmur. You see Frank Reich getting hired. Is there an emphasis on offensive, head coaches? And for Rex, if he had a great offensive coordinator, that guy might leave.
Well, I can think of one exception. Bill Belichick was a great defensive coordinator for the Giants, won a few Super Bowls. So he's a great football mind.
Right.
But as a rule, I think a lot of the, Doug Peterson, for instance, you got Vrabel. He was a tremendous player and a very smart football mind. So I'm not excluding him from being a good head coach. And he really has to be a chairman of the board. He has to have really good coordinators, got to be organized. Obviously, he played under Belichick. He's from the Belichick tree. So, as I said, I think that interesting you were at Titans camp.
Yeah.
People are more worried about retaining the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
They were. They were very worried about Matt LaFleur. But Vrabel, one thing is Vrabel does look the part of a head coach. He was there. He had the blue shoes, of course, the low socks, which if you go to Tennessee or the South in general, the high socks thing is totally a Northeastern thing. When you go, like the look down there, and you even saw this, is like golf shorts and sneakers with like low socks. So.
Yeah, well, having a look, there's a little more to winning, but it seems like the Titans fans were out. Tennessee's excited about their team. Pretty nice stadium they had there, and nice practice facility
Best
too, right?
town, just a great town in general. Cop Pizzle lives in Tennessee, but the whole town of Tennessee, it's a really relaxing place. Now, talking to a couple
Jet
of
Central,
Titans fans,
let's get some comments from our friend Jet Central.
Absolutely. So Jet Central's in the house, man. He's one of my good friends. The 49er faithful is up. Okay, so I want to talk about the 49ers because somebody talked about Jimmy Garoppolo on this show, and I know that this channel, is primarily Niners, and I'm really excited to get back to even having a Niners talk show eventually when the phone lines
You're
work.
going to be breaking down, I think, every Garoppolo game you're going to be.
I'm not doing the preseason, though.
No, preseason, you know why? Because he's not going to touch the field.
Right. I might actually have, I was talking, there's a football coach in Georgia that I'm trying to get who coached cornerbacks. So wouldn't it be cool if he can do a Mike McClinchy film review, because they drafted an offensive tackle. So maybe I'll do a McClinchy film review.
You're right. You need to do some
with
some
that football
unusual.
Coach.
You need to do some different film reviews. You don't see anybody, doing film reviews on offensive linemen. So I think that's Rover Sports we have a wide open channel for that.
What's a disappointing year for the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo? Is missing the playoffs disappointing?
No, I mean, I think if they go 9-7 and barely miss the playoffs, I would say it's a building year. They're one step away. And when you think about it, it's one player. But you have to change the whole culture.
I don't think it's a building year.
But I know you think differently. But
right.
You think they're making the playoffs this year.
Well, I think they're Super Bowl champions this year. Because, first of all, here's my argument to you. You fought that last year for the Eagles was a building year. Okay? I look at Kyle Shanahan. What's the difference between him and Doug Peterson? Not that much a difference, okay? Kyle Shanahan's a Super Bowl offensive coordinator guy who's so prepared. He is one of the best coaches in the NFL. Jimmy Garoppolo and Carson Wentz, there's not much difference between those two guys. Like Carson Wentz was a guy who went, what did he go, 8-8 his first year in the NFL? No one thought the Eagles would take a leap to a Super Bowl. So that's why since the Eagles won, it's not that hard to reconcile the 49ers winning.
Okay, well, let me comment, please. So number one, you're right. I thought the Eagles would be 8-8 last year, but Howie Roseman went out and signed Jay Ajayi, Alshon Jeffrey, Patrick Robinson. Virtually everybody he signed had a career year. And, Wentz got hurt, but he made it through 2/3 of the season. And the defense played unbelievably. They have Fletcher Cox, a lot of
guys. They have
guys.
a good interior line,
no, so
but the Niners also have those too.
If your point is last year's atypical, I'll agree. It was atypical for a team to just kind of come out of nowhere and have the best record in the league and beat the Patriots. Yeah, so I'm sold on Garoppolo. Let's talk about
Niners have a third place schedule. So do you think the Niners can win a championship?
I want to hear. I just think you got to tell me more about the supporting cast. You need to go into it, please.
Sure. So the 49ers have Jerick McKinnon, who's a good running back. Joe Williams is going to be a guy that's going to step up from Utah that people have never heard of. They have Dante Pettis, who's a good slot receiver. Alshon Jeffrey was an elite for the Eagles last year. You have Kittle and
Second half he was. First half they didn't know how to use him. That's true.
You have Kittle and Garrett Selleck, and Garrett Selleck's a tight end with Kittle that, again, are pushed up by the brilliance of Jimmy Garoppolo. You have Marquise Goodwin. Remember how good Marquise was the second half of the year? He won guys fantasy years. He's an up and coming. He won fantasy football.
Goodwin's arrows up.
Yeah, the Niners have a third place schedule. They have now Joe Staley and McClinchy. I think that Garoppolo's the best quarterback in football this
defense? Year. You're up against the Rams, obviously. A lot of people are bullish on the Rams. You think the Rams are sliding back?
Why? You think the Rams are going to be very good?
I think they had a lot of acquisitions.
Okay.
Now the question is,
are they going to be good?
The question is, I remember when the Eagles basically thought that they had a super team. They signed guys like Vince Young, and they signed a lot of players, but they just didn't fit together. They didn't mesh well. So the question is, the Rams signed a lot of different players.
Right.
Talk about the acquisitions, and obviously you don't think they're going to mesh that well. Is that pretty true?
I don't, because is Sue a guy that has meshed very well throughout his career?
No, he's been kind of a malcontent. He's been kind of a locker room destructor.
He uses his cleats. He steps on players' faces. That's what Ndamukong Suh is, a cleat stepper, or he is a nightmare. A nightmare to deal with. The Dolphins gave him away for nothing. Here's the thing about the Kansas City Chiefs and Marcus Peters. The point is, when you get free agents, there's a reason they're a free agent, and it's because they either have no talent or they're complete jerks in the locker room. They're complete jerks, and you guys got very lucky with Jay Ajayi. He was an immature player in Miami. He can still be very immature for the Eagles, but Adam Gase did not like him. That's the reason they traded him. So the Rams are getting all of these guys that all have personality issues, and Talib is old. There's a reason that they're free agents. Just remember that.
Okay. There's a third reason people get free agents. It's because managing cap space. Some people, they just shake off some of these older players, and some of them have more in the tank. Look at Darren Sproles. New Orleans got rid of him. He was a cap hit. And Sproles is coming back for his last year. He's going to be 36 years old. Nobody knows really what he had. He had a terrible knee injury and a broken arm. And, it looks like him, Corey Clement, Jay Ajayi, and maybe Wendell Smallwood. This guy Pumphrey, actually, believe it or not, he's a real short guy. Apparently, he's been working out a lot. He played for San Jose State. He was actually leading rusher in college 2 years ago.
Right.
Got hurt last year, hamstring problems. Got one more year. That's just a quick synopsis of the Eagles running back situation.
It is, and it's also a synopsis of. It reminds me because it's. I'm not trying to be mean, but I don't
think you're being mean. You're being honest.
It's San Diego State, but who the heck cares, right? It's like a school out there. And speaking of, the most famous San Diego State football player of all time is Marshall Faulk, and he's been another what's it called? He's a
Hall of Famer.
Well, he's a Hall of Famer, but he ain't on the NFL Network anymore because he got Me Too'd. So another casualty for the Me Too movement. I think they got 3 more guys at the NFL Network are done there for flirting with ladies.
Yeah, well,
but I don't want to make a
let's
light
not go
of that
there. Let's
topic.
not make a political
maybe they were rightfully fired. We'll never know. But anyway, listen, the Jaguars, to give UCF a ton of credit, they did bring in AJ Bouye and Calais Campbell, and the Calais Campbell guy nearly won. He nearly won the MVP award. So there are some good free agents. Even Janoris Jenkins is a free agent. Olivier Vernon really helped out. And these are all defensive guys, and Wade Phillips is a guy with defense that has been able to control his guys. But everybody's on the LA Rams this year. And if you're not a Rams fan, it's probably annoying to hear the Rams getting so much attention.
Well, that's true. And just about their stadium, had a chance to tour it. And it's 1 year away from completion. It's pretty unbelievable. It's a $5 billion. That's a B. $5 billion stadium.
For who?
For the Rams and Chargers. It's mammoth.
Oh, they're sharing it.
You could fit like 3 Jerry's Worlds into this. They're sharing it. And for all you people out in LA, and I know a lot of people in San Fran, live near Los Angeles, or certainly they're still Niners fans. But pretty interesting stadium. You guys should tour it if you get a chance.
I want to ask about, somebody brought up an interesting player in the comments, and that's Khalil Mack. And Khalil Mack's a guy that he's not been signed yet by John Gruden. Like, the jury with John Gruden, everybody thinks Gruden is too old school to be successful. Like, they make fun of the fact that he's showing players film from the 1970s. And I really hope John Gruden succeeds. And because right now, I think the consensus from the mainstream media is that John Gruden's not going to succeed.
Well, I'll tell you what my concern is. Derek Carr is my concern, and I'll show you my concerns. He was banged up last year. As far as his arm talent, he looked really weak, especially when he had to come east to play the Eagles. And, he to be able to win, obviously, it's favorable that he's out west and the weather's pretty good, but I'm concerned about him. I'm concerned about his durability, his arm strength. So I'm looking more at Derek Carr as the variable. If Derek Carr has a season like he did 2 years ago, I know Gruden's he's a great coach, and just motivating people isn't a bad thing. So I don't think that in itself is bad.
You know what's cool?
I'm just concerned about the team. I'm concerned about the talent.
You know what's cool is that, I'm concerned about Lynch, too.
They also lost the other wide receiver,
Crabtree.
They lost him also.
He's okay, but they got Nelson, they got Switzer. I think they got Martavis Bryant, plenty of guys. You know what's cool, though, about Carr is he is a smart guy. Now, right, when he plays East, like you said, his small hands are a concern. He doesn't take over a game. He throws lollipops.
He had some shoulder injuries last year. So the fact is, if Derek Carr is back to being Derek Carr, and sometimes having a new coach, it's a new lease on life. Look at Jared Goff. He had McVay. He got rid of Jeff Fisher. So sometimes having a coach, and certainly Gruden is a quarterback guru.
You know what the coolest thing is?
And do you know the Super Bowl winner?
You know the Tennessee connection? John Gruden had Peyton Manning at training camp the other day. And it was mic'd up, Peyton Manning talking to Derek Carr all day long. So, and John Gruden always gives Derek Carr like something new every single practice. Like, I think that they're the most entertaining team.
I hope that he, again, I'm sure he trained hard in the offseason. And for me, it's a matter of health. Speaking of which, Andrew Luck for the first time in years, Andrew Luck is supposed to be completely healthy.
Yes,
and as Luck goes, so do the Colts. And
that's the most crazy team right now in the NFL is the Indianapolis Colts.
I think that's
the
one
most variable team.
could. It's the most variable team. I certainly agree. Comments.
The comments. So an interesting direction that we could go in is that somebody brought up, and this is, I think, a really good topic for our show. Somebody brought up Urban Meyer and how they wanted the Jets to sign Urban Meyer. My question for you is that if Urban ends up getting, if Urban leaves Ohio State, which Urban's defense is that he didn't know about anything going on, he would ask Zach Smith, and Zach Smith would say nothing's going on. Like, do you think Urban's going to get hired again soon? That's my question.
Well, Urban has it. Correct me if I'm wrong. He hasn't had any NFL experience. He's a total college coach. Is that true?
Urban?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so if I were the Jets, if I could substitute Urban Meyer for Todd Bowles, albeit with no experience, you won't have a Chip Kelly situation. I think you got a really good, smart head coach and an offensive mind, and I would flip out. I personally would take Urban Meyer.
That would be the funniest
That would be
thing.
a gift. That would be a gift to the
How
Jets.
about Tebow coming back? I always wanted Tebow and Urban to be an NFL tandem.
Tebow's coming back to the Mets, but he's out for the whole year.
Just hire Urban to be back in the NFL. So an interesting storyline is Baker Mayfield, the whole quarterback RV. I hear he's balling in training camp. He didn't throw an interception in 8 training camp practices, which is really, really impressive. So you have Todd Haley there. Do you know who Todd Haley is? He was the coach of Kansas City. He's kind of a hothead. You think he's going to take over for
Todd
Hugh
Haley
Jackson?
he's been the offensive coordinator in New Orleans. Todd Haley also was in Pittsburgh, so I'm definitely familiar with his career. He's a really good offensive mind, and so I'm a Todd Haley guy.
I think Todd Haley would be funny in Cleveland. You know what I love about Todd Haley? He doesn't care about what anyone thinks. He's very
He's fun.
stubborn.
Him and Mayfield, I think, would really be fun. That'd be pretty interesting.
Let's name a coaching staff that would be the most volatile coaching staff. Like we watched Last Chance U. Let's think of a coaching staff that would just be the craziest coaching staff.
Well, one guy who's not going to be back in the NFL, but who's the craziest and worst coach, I would say, is Chip Kelly. Is a complete tyrant. He's right out of the Joseph Stalin mode. He doesn't listen to anybody. He's a complete sarcastic asshole. So having him leading up any core of coaches would make it very interesting.
I love Chip, though, and I think Chip's going to get it going at UCLA because he had to eat some humble pie.
You know why he's got it going? Because he's got 80 players. He can burn through 18 to 24. He can monitor their sleep patterns. He can give them individualized smoothies. He can flash cards. He only has 4 offensive plays, by the way, guys.
Chip versus Herm.
I
Herman
watched
Edwards.
It was terrible.
I hope Herm just kills it. I hope Herman Edwards just kills it. He didn't even know what a football jersey looks like. But Chip Kelly, he's so funny because Chip always, he acts like he always has to go to the bathroom. I would love, you know, it'd be the best. We just did speed dating. I'm not going to get into that. But Chip Kelly, going on a date, with a female. Could you imagine Chip Kelly, on a date with a girl?
Head coach of Last Chance U. Anybody who watches that, he is the craziest
CJ,
coach.
He's a big Bears. Yeah. Talk about Jason Brown. He is
Jason
borderline.
Brown he is psychotic. You're supposed to be a leader. He's the most immature guy on the field. That team is just ridiculous. That reminds me of watching a prison team, to be honest with you.
And literally the head
but
coach.
the worst one is the head
biggest
coach.
jerk off I've ever seen in my life.
He's not nurturing to the players. He just benches people. It's interesting to watch, but it's like watching a dumpster fire, literally.
Yes. Absolutely. So my man Norm Vasquez just got here to the comment section. He's going to talk about he wants us to preview the slate for Thursday. It's an incredible, incredible slate. I mean, I'm one guy. I cannot wait for Thursday.
Well, while you're teeing it up, I'll give you the
Thursday
Eagles.
Thursday is like Christmas for me. You know how Mile Kiper has Christmas on draft day? I mean, Thursday is that's like the first present of Christmas morning.
Okay, so I'll be covering the game. I'll be at Eagles Steelers Thursday night 7. I know you'll be in studio. You'll be covering all the other games. So Eagles, they didn't even practice false today. There was an open practice. Wentz didn't even do. He basically did individual drills. So you're going to be looking at Sudfeld, right? Nate Sudfeld, and you'll be looking at a guy Joe Callahan. So the Eagles are going to play their 3rd and 4th quarterbacks the whole time. You're going to see a little bit of Wendell Smallwood. You'll see some Pumphrey. And they're going to be trying out some different people. You'll see if Sidney Jones will probably play a quarter at slot corner to see if his Achilles is on the mend because they lost Patrick Robinson. And obviously I don't expect to see Big Ben with the Steelers. So obviously it's the first preseason game. You're going to see a lot of backups. Just like the 4th preseason
I'm going to
game.
rank the preseason games based on entertainment value here. Panthers, Bills, to me, if I was rating down on a 1 to 10 scale, I'd rate that a 9.5. I'd rate that a 10.
Because you're going to see Josh Allen in that game.
Josh Allen, McCarron, that game is super, super exciting.
That's going to be a good game. You're not going to see, for the Panthers, who's their backup? Who knows?
Yeah,
Who
Derek
knows?
Anderson maybe.
Maybe
you
Derek
know.
Anderson is like 45 years
But
old.
Tremaine Edmonds, DJ Moore's playing in that game. That'll be exciting to
And
see.
you'll see. It looks like McCoy is still. They haven't found any evidence to
the
suggest.
longer it goes on, the
better it is for him.
We'll just forget about it. Honestly.
Yeah, they'll forget about it. So
yeah.
So that's a 9.5.
That's
Bears
a 10.
Bears
10 for
Bengals.
me, maybe.
I have to give that a 3.
That's a game I won't watch
Bears
at all.
Bears were really almost unwatchable.
Tyler Bray
Against, of course, the Ravens, another team that's fairly unwatchable as well. But so that game you're not going to be watching. Talk about Browns. Will Mayfield play?
Browns Giants to me is a 10. Obviously,
will Mayfield play in that game?
I think he's got to play half. I mean, Drew Stanton's a wonderful bridge quarterback. He's kind of like a Josh McCown. He's a great guy to have in the quarterback room there. I mean, the Browns are getting so much hype. They have all these guys. Like, I don't think they're as talented as they think they are. They're a very cocky team this offseason. David Njoku's never done anything in this league. Jabril Peppers, I thought the previous drafts were terrible. Everybody loved Njoku. Everybody loved Jabril Peppers. These are guys that are, what is it called, like when you're a master of a lot of different things?
Pedestrian? Mediocrity? Those words
yeah.
do. Those.
No, it
You're
means
versatile.
Versatile, but versatility also means you don't do anything well.
That's
so,
right. You're a
master of all trades,
master of none.
Jack
of all trades,
yes,
master of none.
That's exactly what I'm trying to figure out.
So let's go to the next.
But that's
game.
a 10. I can't wait to see Mayfield.
Saints Jags. Again, will UCF be there? Hope she'll probably
be there at the game. I mean, to see Blake Bortles play, but that game to me is not that
Bortles is only going to play quarter.
Rams Ravens, I'm going to watch again because RG3 is keeping me involved in that. So I'm excited.
Also,
for
the
that
Ravens'
game.
third stringer is, of course,
Lamar
Jackson. So again, I'll retract the part I said with the Ravens. They usually are boring. It's a running team, but with RG3, with the quarterbacks, I think that I will be watching the game. Titans Packers, you're not going to see a lot of Aaron Rodgers. For the Titans, you'll see backup quarterback there too.
You know what's cool is that next Friday, this upcoming Friday, the Jets are playing their only preseason game. They're the only game on TV other than Lions and Raiders. So
we'll have to do a watch party.
I might actually I might actually want to go to that game.
You might go to that game?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll have your dear friend Jet Central come up and crash maybe in North Jersey near the Meadowlands. I know you have a few relatives who live there.
And then look at this. It is CJ is funny. He's a Bears fan, so he'll be into that.
Sorry about that, CJ. Sorry, but we do like
drunk drywaller. What's going on, my friend?
The wide receiver.
47 people.
The wide receiver for the Bears. You interviewed him. Had a touchdown.
Yes.
Taylor Gentry.
Yes.
Taylor Gentry. So props to him. Mitch Trubisky, I do like, but he isn't going to see much burn in the next game. I like Nagy. Is it Nagy or Nagy?
Nagy.
Okay, I've heard people say both. Actually, I
actually
knew a guy
dead wrong.
I knew a guy who roomed with him in college at Delaware and called him Nagy. So I don't know. Maybe there are Bears fans will say, how do you actually say the guy's name?
Gregory is right. You know, he likes Mayfield versus Saquon Barkley. I think that
Barkley
game
isn't going to play that much. Barkley will play a quarter.
You don't want to play the running backs.
You don't want
to
play him that much. You don't want to burn him out.
No.
MetLife Stadium's a dump.
Come on, that's just
it's
a
pretty new stadium.
I like it. I mean, you get some chicken fingers there.
It's okay. It's pretty boiler. It's a pretty cut dried. Let's face it.
It's just as good as Lincoln
Financial Field isn't just a concrete jungle.
No, it's
you know what makes it.
MetLife's better.
It's the fans.
MetLife's better. MetLife is one of the top stadiums in the league.
I think Lincoln Financial Field is better. I think it's a better. It's a better screen, better fans.
I mean, the old Giant Stadium was maybe better field. You think the old Giant Stadium was
I remember
great?
when I was at MetLife Stadium, Game 3. Guess what happened? Power failure. I was sitting next to Chuck Schumann. We thought the place was taken over. You were at that game, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, but no. MetLife's a good stadium.
If you have the
boxes
mezzanine,
By the way, your uncle has a great spot. If you're off the field, there's some great
How
field
about mezzanine?
boxes.
I mean, it's a little like the experience. The old
Right,
Giant
I think
Stadium
it's good
was.
sight lines. I personally like. I'm an unusual guy. I like upper deck end zone. You know, I like when I go to an away stadium. And you actually have pretty good sight lines at MetLife.
It's corporate though. It's corporate.
It's not like the old Giant Stadium.
You know what was embarrassing was that the Cowboy fans took over.
Dolphin Stadium is the worst.
The Giant Stadium. Have you been to the Dolphin Stadium?
Even worse than that was where the Marlins played, the old Orange Bowl.
There's no
the old Orange Bowl is the worst stadium. That's terrible. Not only that, you take your life in your hands. If you go there, you'll be lucky if you live to just walk in the stadium.
To get out.
Yep.
To get out. But speaking of the stadiums, like I'm trying to think of a stadium that I think would just be a terrible, terrible stadium. I don't want to insult like any NFL teams.
Well, but I like a lot of. I love Lambeau. I think
like a lot of stadiums.
Lambeau is like a high school field, but we mean that in a good way.
It's the best.
It's in the middle of a neighborhood. You should go to Lambeau, for sure.
And I think the Bengals, Paul Brown would not.
That's
be
a very
great.
cookie cutter stadium. The Bengals stadium was just like, remember old Vet Stadium? It was just a round, boring stadium. So Bengals Stadium is
I will
is weak.
say that the parking at the old Giant Stadium was one of the worst experiences.
Getting bussed like 5 miles away, you couldn't even find the parking lot. It was pretty bad.
But it was really, really fun.
That life is a tourist trap.
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
I wish I lived at Jag Stadium.
The Jaguar Stadium is not at all like a football stadium. It's like you're watching a game in another continent because you do have a hot tub in a damn stadium. So like I can't really relate to that. I can't relate to that.
So that's a new
Sundays.
stadium, obviously. The old stadium that I went to in 2004 where the Eagles played, it was a terrible stadium. It was
so
small.
Maybe it's the same one.
I don't know.
Maybe it's the same
I'm hoping for the Jags. It's not.
Let me tell you places I want to go. I want to go to Arrowhead. Soldier Field is a classic stadium.
Soldier Field, we've never been there. I went to LA Coliseum to see Rams Eagles. Eagles are going back to the Rams, so all you Eagles fans, I know we have a few of them out there.
Surprisingly
fun. We're all traveling to that game. That's a fun place. London, I think we're playing. Is it Titans or?
I want to go to Minnesota. I want to go to Atlanta.
Was it Titans or Jags? Who do the Eagles play?
Jaguars.
Jags. I think the Jags have Wembley Stadium. They go there every year. So they must have a lot of fans in London because the Jags go there every year.
Blake Bortles has never incompleted a pass in London. I mean, they beat the Ravens by 80.
There's never been a game that's been less than a 50-point spread. The Jags own London, so I think
that'll be tough.
I think for our friend UCF, maybe you'll meet us in London end of October. I think it's October 27th is the game in London.
Absolutely.
Eagles Jags.
Lambeau is an amazing place. It does get really cold. The Vikings have. You went to the Viking Stadium. It's probably
Viking Stadium's really nice. Obviously, it's cold as hell. At the end of the Super Bowl, it was 30 below zero. Never experienced cold like that. It's interesting how the Vikings Stadium has got like a glass roof. So during the day, like sunlight comes into the stadium. Food's good. Pretty cool looking place. Security is probably the best for a Super Bowl. I've been to maybe 6 Super Bowls. You just flew right through security. You got right in the stadium. So all you Minnesota fans out there, it's a good spot. It's a good place.
RK says that a furnace means that it's like super hot, right? So he said Levi Stadium.
In San Fran?
It's somewhere where I want to go. Now, it's interesting that it's an hour away from
far.
San Francisco.
We almost went there to cover, what game was it? Was it college championship? No, it wasn't.
I think they are getting the college championship this year.
The weird thing is if you're with the media, as we are, it's like an hour and a half from where the hotel is.
Well, there was a Super
in San
Bowl
Fran.
there.
I know. But the media, they were bitching a lot because it was like a super long drive to the stadium, and the hotels are all in, obviously, San Francisco.
I'm not just saying this because Gregory said this, but
FedEx?
I actually really like FedEx Field.
I do too.
It is like
people
it's
don't
an
like it
old
though.
classic,
but a lot of people don't
classic,
like it. We were there. Was it last year or 2 years ago?
It is like it's not the prettiest
I
stadium
think
at all,
FedEx
but it's kind of your baby.
FedEx is like a college place. I like the grass parking. You can get to it pretty easily.
Every seat.
People
is
are nice. I
perfect.
must tell you, Redskins fans, actually nice fans. I was with a group of Eagles people. Food's pretty good there too.
Yeah.
Remember the food?
Barbecue is
good.
unbelievable.
So I'm a FedEx fan.
DC
But a lot of people
style.
think FedEx Field is a dump.
Yeah.
So I think there's different opinions on FedEx.
It's not
Field.
at all like Arizona. Like you go out to the Arizona Cardinals
Phoenix
game,
Stadium is really great. That's really cool.
Stadium's fantastic. We didn't even mention the top dog, and that is Jerry Jones.
Jerry Jones. Well, for now, I mean, I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'll go on a limb and say that.
I watched
But the
their
stadium
show.
is amazing, though.
I didn't like Jerry Jones'
Dallas
show, by
Dallas
the way.
is a great spot.
And Jason Garrett, their team's just not even that likable, anymore. The Dallas Cowboys. I mean, Van Der Esch, honestly, could be a likable player. Jason Witten was likable. DeMarcus Ware. Who the heck do they have now?
Yeah, again, we're talking Cowboys. I think they're at the they're going to be racing to the bottom.
Last minute of the show, rapid fire. Last minute of the show. Let's do
Rovers
55
think
minutes.
of O.J. Howard. O.J. Howard, if I remember him, we saw him play. Was it Clemson or Alabama? No, one of those.
It's the
two
Alabama
teams.
Crimson Tide.
Okay, I like O.J. Howard. I think he's got a good upside. Obviously fast, good hands. Like he's in the mold of the wide receiver of the Gronkowski kind of guy who is like a tight end / wide receiver. So I'm an O.J. Howard guy.
I think Howard's good. They have Brait there, so it's a good 1-2 punch, and they just need Jameis Winston to get back. Thank you guys for hanging around the show. It was a good live stream. Did I didn't even sign out to Skype. We had a couple of really good callers. I do want to thank the Florida guy. He was a ton of fun. He was a very unique caller.
Thank you, UCF
Jaguar,
Jag,
for
course.
calling in the show.
We thank Jet Central, of course, Ian. Very good friend, and
Doug Lass, all these guys.
Doug Lass,
came
great
out.
comments throughout.
Greg,
and
Gregory,
we're trying to refine our sound.
Cementi.
You might notice the callers were a little muted. We have to figure out a way to digitally feed the audio in, but we'll figure it out.
Most people just like hanging out, man. The call-in number's always like it's like kind of a side piece. You go to IHOP, it's kind of like ordering cereal at IHOP.
But you want to hear the callers, because if you can't hear the callers, it's more of a side piece. It's kind of an end cut, so to speak.
Yeah, so anyway, I think that's got to wrap
it.
up the show.
So it's going on 1 in the East. Thanks for everybody
we'll
hanging
definitely
late
get to
with
talk
us.
quarterback soon. A lot of great comments
There's
here. A lot
NFL
of people
football,
coming in.
NFL football
Go ahead
Thursday.
and replay it and replay the show and subscribe, guys. And thank you guys for watching.
Thanks for logging in. Have a good night.